Welcome to the Family First Life Get to 20K call. My name is Stephen Yee. I'm your host today. I'm very blessed to be able to have a good friend of ours and a young stud, man. When I see the story, I wish I look back and go, where was I when I was 19? I was definitely not doing 400 grand, right? Michael Sandman, 19-year-old, Hall of Fame producer in 9 months at FFL. So, hey, Mike, welcome to the call, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm super excited. I used to, before I even jumped on this call, I used to watch this call all the time. So, man, this is an honor. I'm super excited to be on here.
Well, we're blessed to have you on here. So, for everybody that doesn't know your story, if you can quickly dive into it and share with them, how'd you find Family First Life? What kind of experience that you had, if you had any? I mean, I'm like, dude, you're 19. People go like, what experience does he have? I'm like, dude, he's 19. He just graduated like high school like 2 years ago, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Just to so about a year and a half ago, last February 20th or February the 6th of last year, I turned 18, and I lived in Louisiana a majority of my life from the time I was about 4 years old till, like I said, about February of last year. And about the year before I turned 18, me and my brother, we were like, look, the second I turned 18, we're out of here. We're ready to move. We don't know where we're going to go. We were literally Googling just random cities in the US. But we had a friend that lived in Florida. He lived in, I think, like the Miami area. And we were like, you know what? We're going to head down there. Never been down here, nothing. So I remember it was February, like the 10th, like 4 days after my birthday. We packed all of our stuff up, and we came down here and visited. We visited a couple cities, like Daytona, Jacksonville, Orlando, and then we came to Tampa. And like, man, we loved it here. I don't know, we didn't know anyone, but we really liked it. So the next month, we had the last little bit of money that we had. We used that to rent out a U-Haul. My dad gave us his like 300,000, had like 300,000 miles on it. His old work van that smelled like, it was terrible. It smelled like sewer. Anyways, we packed up all of our stuff with the last little bit of money we had, came down to Tampa. And then when we came down here was right when COVID hit. So it was a terrible timing because everybody was losing their jobs. So it wasn't like it was very easy to even find one. So anyways, long story short, my friend, he was doing life insurance with a different company, and he told me how much money he was making. And I was like, man, that's insane. I was like, man, if I can even make like a tenth of that, man, I'll be doing a whole lot better than I am now. So I told my dad about it. My dad was like, son, you realize life insurance is one of the harder insurances to sell. I was like, Dad, I just got to do something different. So he was like, but the thing is he was always behind whatever any dreams I may have had. And so he started looking online as well, and he came across a Family First Life ad, and it was like, make 250K your first year. And I mean, I was like, no college degree, no high. I was like, that's kind of, and he even thought I would assume it was kind of shady as well. I was like, man, there's no way you can do that. And anyways, we definitely looked into it, and 6 days after the grand opening here in Tampa, I called Eric Anthony. He told me to meet him at his office in an hour. And I met him there, and then I got my license. He said, you got 7 days to take your test. He's like, if you're serious about this, you'll pass it in 7 days. So I end up passing my test, man. It's been a crazy journey ever since.
Dude, that's awesome, dude. Let's dive into, the lead strategy in place. Cause we have a lot of people that come to Family First Life, and they're blown away at the fact that you don't have to make a list of friends and family and bombard them with, grand openings or practices or whatever it is. It's like, we can just buy leads and go sell them. What's your lead strategy like in the beginning, right? Obviously not as a Hall of Fame producer, as like brand new, first month in, second month in, to what's your lead strategy like now?
Yeah, of course. So first month, my first couple months, it really, 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 like, I had a lot of fear when it came to buying like leads in increments of like $2,000, $3,000. Like, that scared me. I was like, there's no way I'm spending that type of money on leads. And so my first 4 or 5 months, man, I would come into the office and I would spend like 300 here, 500 here. I would book like 3 appointments for the next field day, and then the field day after that, I wouldn't have any appointments. So that got old pretty quick, but I was just so scared to spend, and like I said, $2,000 to $3,000 every week. So that lasted for, like I said, 4 or 5 months. So in the very beginning, it was obviously internet leads. I ran only internet leads for my first like 5-6 months. And then even now, I mean, Florida's very limited in terms of like leads and stuff. So it's it's hard to get your hands on leads down here. But the thing is that's the beauty of all the like 30-40 vendors that we have. Like if you want leads, I promise you, you're going to get your hands on some leads. So in the very beginning, it was definitely all internet leads. I definitely struggled. I had to put in the time on the phones. That was something that I wasn't doing because I would come into the office and I would get there at like 8. I'd start dialing by 8:30, have my lead. It was terrible. And then I would leave at like 11. And I remember Eric Anthony's like, dude, where are you going? And I was like, I'm gone. I was like, I got a couple appointments. He's like, Mike, no, you got to call each lead 27 times. And I don't know why I specifically remember that number. He's like 27 times. So I legitimately started doing that. And when I started doing that, they started picking up their phones like the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th time they would answer because they were like, man, who the heck is this? So in the very beginning, it was definitely all internet leads, and it definitely requires putting more time in on the phone. Like, right. I mean, I would dial I would tell myself I'm going to dial from 8 a.m. to about 9 p.m. So then 13 hours there, I didn't even take a lunch. I was like, dude, I have to dial the phone because I know if I put in the work today, I'll see the results in the field, So definitely in the very beginning was internet leads, dialing all day. And then now, I don't have any BPLs locked out. I still am trying to, I don't have any BPL mortgage or anything like that. I'm still just like buying everything that I can, but I feel like, like they say, where there's a will, there's a way. So if I'm constantly looking for leads and I'm constantly searching out leads and I at least spend that $2,000 to $3,000 every single week, regardless of whether I have a $3,000 week or I submitted 15,000, I'm still spending that $2,000 to $3,000 every week, and the numbers just play out 100% of the time. So that's the differences between when I first started and then what I'm doing now is just the non-negotiable in leads.
I love that because, a lot of people go, oh, you can't go Hall of Fame. You can't write the big premium without having mortgage leads. And I'm like, that's not true. Especially with the way the company is set up now with Instance and Facebook leads and like live transfers and this, that, and the other. It's like, you don't have to run mortgage leads. And I'm never a fan of people that have all their leads or their lead source, their lead flow in just one type of leads, because let's just say you only run, Facebook leads. Well, Facebook was down yesterday for like 7 hours. Well, guess what? You didn't get no leads yesterday, right? Like that's not a good idea, right? And then some people go, hey, I only run direct mail mortgage protection. I'm like, great. What happens if there's no refis or nobody's buying homes because the market sucks? That means you're not getting any leads there either. You know what I mean? So I'm a big fan of everything works a little bit and, run everything. Right. So I love that, man. So, you're in the office 13 hours dialing on a Monday and a Thursday. How many calls do you think you're making?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when I was, so I've never had, and this is something that I wish I could go back and change, was using phone burner. Man, I don't know why I never used that, but I just never did. But I always just manually dialed. So even with manual dials, I would still say if I'm dialing 13 hours, I'm at least making 400 dials, 400 right. Plus, sometimes 500, maybe even like, even more on different occasions, but obviously with experience, you get better at the phone. I've never been that good on the phone. So it's always taken me a while. Even to this day, I still got to dial like 5-6 hours just to get my appointments. But another thing I try to do different is book real appointments now rather than, all right, Bob, oh, you're getting off work at 5? He's like, yeah, I got to go. All right, I'll see you at 5:15. Bye. Like, that's not an appointment, So now I try to actually book real appointments. And also because, I mean, if you book up 16 real appointments, you don't I'm not even good in the home or on the phone. It's just the appointment count I became obsessed with. And then also booking the solid appointments. And I promise you I know if I can do that and have any type of success, anybody can, because right. Like I said, I'm 19, it's just like anybody that I've saw a lot of people come in and out of the office, they dial for a couple of days and then they quit. And then like 4 or 5 months later, I'll look back and I'm like, man, imagine if I was that person that quit. And then I see myself where I'm at and I see where they're at. And it's just, it's beyond me, but that's why I guess, I don't know. I look at my plan B, and 100% of the time it's always worse. I can never see myself. I can never see myself going back delivering food deliveries all day, making $100. I could never see myself ever doing that. So it just forces me to become, a better version of myself in this business, so.
I love that. So in the beginning, when you struggled on the phone, like, were you reading off of a script? Were you just having a conversation? How did that all sound like?
Yeah, in the very beginning, it was reading off of a script. I would say for the first couple months, and just kind of refer back to it. Now it's definitely conversational. I'm not like following a script. I mean, I felt like even now that I make it more conversational, I can book more appointments because they don't think I'm like a robotic telemarketer.
Right.
They're like, this guy is like, I say, look, I'm your local guy. Like I tell them I live locally, and they're like, oh, you're the local guy. I like, yeah, I want you to come. I'm like, yeah, okay. And it really, I feel like relieves I don't know, I guess I wouldn't say sales pressure. It's just they don't think I'm a telemarketer, so I'm just like, yeah, I'll be the local guy coming over, and then it's a whole lot more easier to book appointments when it's conversational. I actually saw you say that on a podcast one time. You're like, I don't use a script. Like I don't do that. Like I make it a conversational throughout the setting the appointment. So that's something that I try to do as well, because I felt like it's a lot easier in terms of booking appointments.
That's the thing. It's like, there's only 4 things you do on the phone. Number one is you introduce who you are, right? Hey, my name is Steven. I'm getting back to you about the form you sent back in. Number 2, it's like, I'm verifying info. Hey, it looks like your date of birth is this, your address is this, right? It looks like your beneficiary is this, or smoker status, whatever it may be, right? And then number 3 is, hey, they have me on your area this upcoming Friday, right? And then they're like, grab a pen and paper. By the way, I'm going to see you Friday at 5. Like, that's not hard.
No.
The mental space of getting hung up on, or the rejection, or people cussing you out, or being like, I didn't fill that form out when they clearly did, right? And I love it when new agents go, Steve, they said they didn't fill it out. I'm like, got it. So we got their handwriting, their date of birth, their phone number, and their address. Yeah, they definitely didn't fill it out. Somebody else did with all the correct information. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes like we believe our clients are telling them the truth, and I'm like, no, dude, they're lying straight to your face. But that's just me. Hey, so how many appointments do you book in a week? What's your typical run schedule?
Yeah, so typically it's definitely 30 appointments. I've never been I've never been the 40 appointment guy. I mean, a lot of people do, and a lot of people can. It's just I don't know. I guess I don't know. This might be an excuse. I don't know. It's just I can't like book that many solid appointments. Like I just like I can't like booking 20 appointments in a day in a single dial day. That's even really, I've only done that probably, I can count on one hand, like since I've been at FFL. So I just became obsessed with the minimum 16 and minimum 8 a day. That's just something that I became obsessed with. And when I became obsessed with that, the results and then running 2 field days. And a lot of times if I don't hit Weekend Warrior by Saturday evening, then I'm probably going to be working on Sunday, So I just have like some different, I don't know, goals that I put to myself on a weekly basis, that if I don't hit them goals, then I have to work harder the next week, So not every week, I promise you, not every week is going to be 10K a week, I'm, at least for me, it's not, but so if I didn't hit my goals on a previous week, then the week after, I'll definitely be working on Sunday, because door knocks are, I feel like every single month, every single week, I'm definitely probably getting 1 or 2 sales off of door knocks, because the people that don't answer their phone or disconnect the numbers, man, them are gold. Like when you show up, they're like, oh my goodness, yeah, I don't answer phone calls I don't recognize. And I'm just like, yeah, I drove about 2 hours. Look, this takes about 10 minutes. And then maybe take a shoe off like I'm committed to going in, so they'll let me in. And then, so definitely door knocking, but 30 appointments minimum. I have to do that, because if I don't have 30 appointments, man, I'm going to flop for sure. I'm not the guy who says, oh, I wrote 10 grand off of 5 appointments. I've never been that guy, There's a lot of people out there that can pull that off. I just can't. So as long as I have, the numbers in my favor, man, every single time, not even with me, anyone, if they have booked them 30 appointments a week, you'll submit at least 10K.
How many are you sitting on out of those 30?
Yeah. So I feel like my show rate is pretty decent because on my phone script, at the end of my phone script, I tell them, I say, hey, so Bob, I ask a lot of time down questions. So I'm like, look, what's the numbers on the house? Would I see them on the mailbox, on the curb, or on the house? Where would I see them at? Okay, perfect. Bob, last thing, you're pretty good at keeping appointments, right? Yeah, I'm pretty good at keeping appointments. Okay, perfect. Bob, is this a cell phone or a home phone? Oh, this is a cell phone. Okay, perfect. Bob, is it okay if I shoot you a text message just confirming the date and time of this appointment? Yeah, that's fine. So there's so many, like they're literally they know I'm coming. So when I send a text message, at the bottom of the text message, I'm like, hey, so appointment between 7:30 and 8:30 on Wednesday. And then I would put at the bottom of that, I would put, this is a no reply text message. So they don't reply back.
Right.
So it's automated text message. So I send that over to them. And I feel like doing all that at the end, and also sending them the text message, your show rate's like probably 80%. Like it really is. So I would say I would sit, I mean, on a bad week, probably about 20, and then on a good week, about 25, honestly.
Okay.
So,
and out of that 20 to 25, how many are you closing, you think?
yeah. So I would say I'd close like probably like 45, 50%. You know, I'm not that guy that closes 80, 90, 95%. I wish I was, you know, I'm not, but you know, I close probably like half or maybe even below half, you know, 40, 50%. It's just, I know as long as I have the 30 appointments, I mean, the average application now is a lot. I guess I would assume it's higher than what it used to be. I would say it's probably like 110, you know, $120, you know, an app. So,
right.
I mean, if you're submitting 12 of them, or I mean, 12 to 15 of them a week, or 10 to 15 of them a week, you're always going to submit 12, you know, 15, 20, 12 to 20 grand a week. So I know as long as I have them numbers, as long as I have the appointment goal, the solid appointments every single week, I know that I can typically submit about 12 to, you know, 15,000, you know.
Gotcha. I love that, man. So like I saw that last week, you had a killer week. What'd you submit last week?
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know how that happened. It was 50,800.
You submitted more than some people submit in 2 months, bro. Last week. How'd that happen? If you mind sharing the story.
So, okay. So one of my good mentors, his name, I'm sure you know him. His name's John Leslie. He's
love Leslie.
Yeah, he's man, he's awesome. Like he's helped me in so many different ways. Like, you know, you have them people in your life that like really, really inspire you, you know. He was writing like 50, 60K a month. And I was like, man, look at this guy. I was like, man, I'm only doing 15 to 20K. And so anyways, I literally just asked him every detail about what he done. I wanted to know. Like, I didn't care if I'm calling him 9 times a day. I'm like trying to figure out what this guy is doing. And yeah, he's super humble guy. He's very not like, he was so open to what he was doing, and he told me what to do. When I started implementing all that he was doing, it helped me see results like that. But the last week, so this is a 5-week month. And he's like, Mike, you got to make this your best month ever. I was like, man, I'm going to try. So I think I was at like 60K through 4 weeks. So it was the last week. And he's like, dude, if you can just submit like 50, issue pay 40, you'll be at 100. And I was like, dang. So yeah, man, it was, I was like, okay, I'm going to try. And he's like, yeah. So I worked like 14, like, I don't even know, like 13 days straight. And I think it was, I don't know when I had a big sale. I don't know when it was, but it was like one of my last 2 days. And I wasn't seeing the numbers that I wanted. And it was crazy. I walked into a house and it was 1508 a month. I was like, dude, wow. It was crazy. So it was just a whole life stack. And I was like, man, is this going to charge back? But when I left, I really tried to, you know, cement the appointment. She gave me a $20 bill. She's like, thank you so much for doing this. Nobody's ever been able to do this for me, and gave me a $20 check. I was like, you guys do realize this is like this is going to be like 1,600 a month. He's like, yeah, not a problem. He's like, look, if you could just get me this amount of coverage, I don't care how you do it. I don't care if I got to wait 2 years. Just if you can get me that. He's like, I promise you're my new insurance guy. And I said, dude, I can get you a guaranteed 70,000 with a couple whole life stacks. He's like, you got a deal. So I stacked up a couple policies, and she was 77. And they were super, I guess, sad. I don't know. They were just excited that I was able to do that for them. But that's like a one out of like, that's like a 1 in 1,000 clients you sit with. That's very, very rare. But that,
dude, I mean, the premium on that is 18,000. You still did 30 grand outside of that, right? So
yeah.
how many appointments did you run that week?
Yeah. So last week, I think I counted, I ran like 40, like right at 40 appointments. So I ran 40 appointments. I think it was like 20 applications for 50,000. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome, dude. That's great. So let's transition and dive into your in-home now. What's your in-home look like when you get there? How do you take control? Right. Obviously you're young too. So like, do you play off of that, or how does that all work out for you?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, that's something in the very beginning that really, really scared me. I'm like, dude, I'm 18 years old. I'm going to walk into a 55-year-old, he's going to have a $250,000 house. Think I'm just some punk kid trying to sell him something. So I had to really, I had to really overcome a lot of them, the negative thoughts. I figured it was definitely it was definitely control. I mean, if I didn't take some type of control, them clients would just tell me what to do, so as soon as I get there, I try to build a lot of credibility, like tons of credibility, because I know like I've heard this before, increasing credibility decreases sales pressure. And when I started implementing that, like it decreases a lot of sales pressure. So I get to the house, obviously show them the form. I'm straight to the table, like everybody says, tells you, go to the table. You're not going to write. I mean, it's rare that you write an app on a couch. I mean, I've written apps everywhere, but you want to go to the table and take control, like everybody says, right? So I get to the table, I get the lead, whether it's an internet lead, whatever. I'm all digital. I don't do anything. Like the only thing that I have that is paper is a financial inventory. So I show them the digital lead. Hey, this is a lead you filled out. And then I just straight up ask them, say, so Mary, who is the beneficiary that you were looking to protect? And what was your main concern when you filled this out? Something very, very basic. But I feel like setting up the question that way really avoids any type of objections. If I say, hey, Mary, why did you fill this out? Oh, Mike, well, I'm just looking for quotes.
Right.
It's like it avoids anything like that. Like I'm asking them who their beneficiary is. So it's not like they're not going to tell me. Well, and she's going to be like, well, my daughter, her, my daughter, whatever her name is, and I'm looking to protect her because let's just say it's a mortgage protection lead. Because if I pass away, this, I don't want her to be left with this $150,000 loan. And and then from there, I really try to elaborate on the why for a while, because when I first started, I was like, oh, you want to protect her? Okay, perfect. I would get through the financial inventory, show them quotes, and then they wanted to think about it. Right. And then I didn't know what to tell them. So I try to do like I know a couple people do this, and I picked this up from somebody, but the 5-minute rule. Sometimes I go past it. Sometimes it ain't as long, but so if I sit down before I show them the lead, if it's like 10:30, then I wait till 10:35 before I open anything. So I can really elaborate on the why for a while, So after I show them the lead, really ask a couple of different questions like, Mary, can I assume that there was maybe an income disparity? Or let's just say it's Bob and Mary and I'm sitting with Bob. Bob say, Bob, can I assume that it was an income disparity? Is the reason why you maybe have filled this out? You pass away. Her income's way smaller, anything like that. Yeah, of course, she would probably lose the home. Ask her a couple questions. And then from there, it's very, very basic. I show them my state license. I show them my personal identification card. So my personal ID, I do show them that. I say, so Bob, here's the thing. This ID, a lot of the elderly people I sit with, some of them think it's fake because it's vertical. But I'm like, look, it's vertical. 21 and young. Awesome. I say, so this isn't a fake license, but once I turn 21, it'll be horizontal. Okay.
That's great.
So I say, look at the bottom of this. This has my address, my personal address, has all my personal information. I say, look, if you want to take a picture of any of this, that's fine. If you're ever in Tampa, you want to come knock on my door, you can as well. And they don't like one out of every 100 people will probably take a picture of it.
Right.
But that makes them feel a whole lot better, So that builds a lot of credibility there because, man, when I started, I probably left 50, 60, 70 homes because I couldn't collect the social or I couldn't collect the voided check. Like that got old really quick. So when I started showing all this, my results, it was insane. It was like if I would have started doing it early on, it would have been I would have been way more far along than what I am now. So from there, I show them the carriers. Look, we're just going to, we're going to figure out through all the different carriers. We're going to shop around. It's not like I'm out here with 3 products and I'm jamming you into one of my 3 products. I'm going to come throughout all hundreds and hundreds of different products. I'm going to see who's going to come up with the best possible plan for your situation. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's perfect. So Bob, that right there is going to eliminate you having to shop around any further. We're going to see through a lot of different carriers who's going to come up with that for you. And then from there, I say, so at the end of the day, Bob, I'm not the guy who makes the decision. I say, so once we find this product, all we're going to do is we're going to submit that request to the carrier, and we're going to they're the ones who make the ultimate decision. And they're like, oh, okay. So yeah, we don't know for a fact if you're approved until we get that application submitted. So I get to the financial inventory, whatever. I get to the end, and then at the very end, I try to really, really cement the sale, because I hate doing like the suicide close, like the, oh, Mike, I want to think about it, and they're like, oh, I'm like, well, yeah, you got 30 days to think about it. Like I hate that close. Like that close is just that's a passport to chargebacks. It really is.
100%. Yep.
Worst case scenario, if they just won't budge, if I tell them that and it closes, I mean, I'm still taking it. But regardless of whether I do that close or any other close, at the very end, I'm still telling them, like, look, so Bob, we got this application, or I may even tell them, hey, oh my goodness, wait, we don't even have to worry. They actually told us you're approved right now. I'm like, you're approved now, so you don't even have to worry about a future decision. And then at the end, I'm just like, look, so Bob, I had a client last year, and I tell them all this story. I say, I had a client last year that she missed her payments on her policy, and then she passed away. And then when the death claim went to be paid out, it wasn't paid out because she didn't make her payments on this. So I said, the most important thing, I was like, look, if your intention is to cancel this, then please tell me now, because I don't even want to submit this application if that's your intention. And nobody's going to be like, well, yeah, I'm going to cancel it. Nobody's ever told me that, Right. So, and then I also tell them, I'm saying, so here's the thing. So Bob, we got everything submitted. But if there is any cancellations or any missed payments on this, I really, really care for your family. I'm always going to be here for you. But if there is any cancellations or missed payments, they're going to notify me. And I like pick up my phone and show them. They're going to notify me to my personal cell, and they're going to notify my email and tell me that occurred. And if that occurs, then if I'm ever back in the area, I'm going to come back by and knock on your door and figure out why you done that.
I love that.
When I started doing that, my chargeback ratio dropped by like 80%. I'm not even kidding. I said, they were like, I said, so if you see a young, chubby cheek, brown-headed kid knocking on your door, I said, you're gonna definitely know why. So, and I feel like once I started implementing that, it was literally my chargeback decreased by like 80%, So I feel like that really, really cements the sell there at the end, regardless of whether I do, like I said, a suicide close, which I hate to do, or if I'm just telling them, look, we got everything submitted, which most of the time, I mean, we all get think about it, right? But if you do get to think about it, I really just try to, like, I guess, go back to the reason why they filled it out, because like they say, emotionality increases urgency. You bring that emotion out again, it's going to really increase the urgency to get that application submitted that day. So if like, hey, Mike, I want to think about it. Like the other day I sat with a client. He was a 68-year-old smoker with $100,000 loan, and he had a discretionary income of like $800. Like I'm probably not showing him the full loan. And I was showing him a couple different things, but his wife, she really needed it, right? And she was on board, but he just wasn't on board, because I was like, look, so most people don't even cover their full loan in similar situations such as yours. So what I'm going to do is show you 75, 50, and 25. 25,000 was like $140 a month. 50,000 was like whatever, 2 something a month, and then like 75,000, 68-year-old smoker was like, it was like $300 a month. So he was like, ain't no way I'm spending that, And I was like, yeah. So imagine if we would have showed you 100. Anyways, he's like, couldn't make it make sense to this guy. Hey, dude, I want to think about this. There's no way I'm moving forward on this. And I asked his wife, I was trying to really like explain to him why it would be helpful. So I looked at his wife and I said, I think her name was Dolores. She was in the living room. She was like, neither of us could get him to move. And I said, Dolores, let me ask you something. Because obviously you guys have explained to me what the situation is going to look like if he's not here. If he passes away, God forbid, tonight, or I would say, God forbid, he passed away yesterday, today, if you had 2 options, one, to not receive anything, or two, receive a $25,000 check? Which one are you going to receive? She's like, well, the 25,000. He's like, you know what, Mike, I think it is a good idea. And he went and grabbed his checkbook. He's like, let's get this. So yeah, I mean, really increasing, the emotionality, I guess, like Matt Smith said, increase the urgency to get it in place. So we submitted the application, it was approved. But yeah, it was something that I try to do it. So that's kind of like a breakdown of the in-home, is just not telling them they got 30 days to think about it like I used to do, and then have like an excessive amount of chargebacks because of that, because I don't like loans. Like, I like that stuff to stay on the books.
Right. Mike, the thing that I've, watching you go through this entire in-home presentation, your phone script and everything, one thing that I don't see is I don't see a 19-year-old, because like age is just a number, right? Like Alondra is like 22, 23. She ain't 22 to 23, dude. She's so mature. She's more mature than most people that I know. Does that make sense? Same thing with you. I say that because when you speak, I see confidence, and that's what your clients see. That's the reason why they buy from you. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, number one, right? And you just know exactly what you're doing. You're able to challenge the clients and care for them. The story you just told me right now, like, hey, husband wasn't ready to buy, never made sense to any of it, and you challenged the wife. Hey, if you were to do this, if your husband were to die and you had two options, which one would it be? Like, I wouldn't even do that right now. Most of the people on this call wouldn't even do that right now. And see, because you challenge your clients and you care for them, because you do care for them, that's the reason why they buy from you, man. That's the reason why your cancellations are so low. That's the reason why you're the youngest person to go Hall of Fame in the entire company. So, Mike, you're doing a great job, dude. Keep that thing up. I love that you tell stories too. One of the things that I tell agents all the time, like, if you feature draft date, expect a chargeback, like my personal opinion, right? And so I tell a story as well, and you can share the story. Anybody on this call wants to share the story. I had an agent in Southern California. He met with a son and a mother on a Thursday, okay? And they were ready to buy the insurance. And what happened was the mom wanted to push the draft date out to like the following week because that was her quote unquote payday, right? Luckily, the agent was very competent and he said, no, we got to get it through today. Once we get it through today, the bank's going to, the insurance company's going to reach out to the bank to take the first payment out. It's going to take at least 24 to 48 hours, but at least you'll be insured today, right? You have the intention to make a payment today. She signed the paperwork on Thursday. Friday went to work. No, policy was approved. Friday, they got the email and all that stuff. Saturday, got hit by a car, accident, died.
Oh my goodness.
Son called and was like, hey, mom passed away, right? We were like, yo, I don't know if they're going to pay because they haven't even printed the policy out yet. Like, seriously, right? And we were like, we don't know. And then, a lot of people are like, well, there's something called a TIA, temporary insurance agreement, this, that, and the other. Dude, insurance companies are smart. They'll find a way to get out of that, right? But they had an intention to pay, and they did pay. The premium came out on Friday. They called the insurance carrier, which was America, on Monday. They filled out the paperwork. That death claim paid.
Wow.
Can you imagine if she pushed that draft date?
That's wow. No, 1,000,000%. Wow.
Right. And so, like, when I tell that story to clients that want to push draft dates, they go, no, we can draft it today. And I'm like, dude, look, we'll make it so simple. We'll draft it today. Today's the 5th. Okay. If you get paid on the 15th, what we'll do is the following month, we'll change it to the 15th. How about that? But the first one has to come out today. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. You know what I mean? And that's how I eliminated chargebacks, because for me, it's like, if you push it and you push it and you push it, especially with seniors, they're never going to remember.
No, not at all. No.
So, dude, I love that, man. Anybody on the call, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat, throw it in the Q&A. We'll hit them in about 5 or 10 minutes. Michael, what's the most common objections that you get in the home, right? Think about it, obviously, is one of them. You touched on that, but what are the other ones that you usually get?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is something that I don't get as, I mean, we all get it. The best of the best gets it, and the worst of the worst, everybody gets that objection. But I feel like just kind of setting it up in the very beginning, telling them, I used to do the, hey, we're not going to think about this. And then they just got so turned off by that, I stopped saying that. I was like, the last thing we're doing is thinking about this. And then that really, really turned them off. So that I stopped doing that. I don't know why. I just couldn't get away with that. But so definitely to think about it. Second, I mean, price is another thing. And with it, before I show them prices, I probably say the word affordable probably like 10 or 15 times.
Right.
And so about the last thing I want to do today is put you into something you can't afford. And then 3 days, and then 3 months later, I get a notification that you canceled because it's not affordable. I said,
right.
I would rather start with something that, and I tell them, I'm like, look, so I'm showing you something for $160 a month. So here's the thing. What between, if they say it's 160 is not affordable, I know this is basic, and I'm sure a lot of people do this. I'm like, if this was $1 a day, you would do it, right?
Right.
Of course, I would definitely. Okay. What between $1 and 160 do you know you can afford? Because the coverage amount is going to be helpful in any type of scenario. Doesn't matter what it is. It'll be helpful. We can always increase it if you have some type of bills that are eliminated in the future. So I try to, really, really emphasize affordability so I don't get that price objection at the end. But when I started, I used to get the banking objection every single time, man. I don't know. I think it was because I was young. They didn't trust me. I didn't know what it was. But now I feel like, I guess I don't really know. I guess, like you said, confidence, that really helps. When you act like you know what you're doing, even if you don't. I mean, they don't have the license I do, so Correct. They still trust me, and me helping them. But the objections, man, I really can't. I don't know. I guess really to think about it, objection. I don't know. I need to talk to my family about it. I'm like, perfect. I don't even know. That's an objection that I get now. I'm like, look, let's at least get this coverage in place. I don't really know what I say to that. I hate to say this, but I'm like, look, we're going to put this in place. You have plenty of time to talk about it with them. But
I tell them you can talk about it with your family when you actually have the policy in hand to show them what you bought.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
it's better for them to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, hey, Mary, you're not an insurance agent, right? I am. So how about when America sends you the policy in the mail, like you can bring that over to your son's house and you can review it together and you can call me if you need any questions. And they're like, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? Because they don't know what we just said for 30 minutes, but guess what? They can point to a piece of paper and read what it says.
Dude, that's gold. No, that's really good. Yeah, that's what happened to me last week. This guy would not get it. He's like, man, I got to talk to my daughter. I was like, perfect. We'll get this in place. You'll receive your policy and he called me like 2 days ago. I was super persistent with this guy. I was probably in that house for an hour and a half. Right. And he called me. He was thanking me. He's like, man, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I said, yeah, you're going to receive your policy. He's like, dude, thank you so much for helping me out. And he's like, once I receive that policy, I'll talk that over with my daughter. I feel like, that was a good decision, and but I was going to give up probably 30 to 35, 40 minutes in, but I just continue to be persistent and I helped him out and he was super, super appreciative, after he called me once I left,
I think that's the, what you just said right there too, was a nugget that most people didn't catch. When you're brand new, you have like a meter in the home. I call it the give up meter. And, if the client says something or does something, that meter just keeps going up and you're like, you know what? I'm done. I'm walking out because there's nothing I can do. And when you're a rookie, you don't challenge clients because your give up meter is very low. Yeah. When you're a veteran agent or a seasoned agent, you start pressing extra. Like what I mean by that is like you just said, I'm going to push them one more time. And then they're going to say yes. And it's going to be worth it for not just you, for them, because they have the coverage now. Right. I remember a story. I was in a home and this guy was like, he came from an ethnic background where the spouse, the wife, was not allowed to sit at the table when making decisions. Right. And I was like, well, that's weird. And so we were going over the financial inventory. I made him pick a plan. He was like, I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. And I was like, you know what? The only thing you can either apply or decline. I don't care what you do. Pick one, right? He was like, fine, we'll apply. I get to the banking information. I'm like, hey, I just need, I don't care if you give it to me from a voided check, a bank statement, pull it up on online banking. I just need to know your account number. I already have the routing number. We're good to go. He just runs it off, like tells me. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, I don't know if it's real or not. So you know how in America you have to type it in twice. So I didn't ask him. I just put the first one in. I was like, say that again once more. And he gave it to me and it was the correct because it matched. And I was like, interesting. And when we got done and I hit submit, I was like, congratulations, you've been approved for coverage, this, that, and the other. And he went from being like very cold to like, thank you so much for helping me. And I was like, do you mind me asking what changed? Because like you were so shut off, your wife's sitting in the other room with your kids. Obviously, there's a big decision. Like, what changed? He was like, I've never had anybody press me like you have. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, most people, if I would have just thrown that I didn't care aura, it would be like, you know what? This guy doesn't care about his family. He just walk out. He was like, the difference was you kept pressing me on it. And because you did, I can feel that you wanted to care for my family. And that's why I bought from you. Wow. And I was like, wow. You know what I mean? Like I started thinking about it. I was like, how many people that walk away from their house without pressing them? How many people don't have life insurance because I was a weak agent and I didn't challenge the client? You know what I mean? And that's what I see from you. Like that's money, dude, when you do that. So, hey, we got a few questions in the chat group. I'm gonna hit some of these with you. One of the first questions comes from Mario. He says, what is the mix of leads and how far from your county do you go to run them?
Yeah, so I would say typically 2.5, 3 hours. Well, right now I'm running about 2 hours to, it depends, you know. I've looked at all the counties that I've ran in thus far here in Florida. I wish I could travel. I just can't rent a car. So can't trust.
19.
So
I love it, man.
I have to drive halfway across Florida to get my leads. So, or I say to get my leads, to get my appointments or even leads. Yeah. So I think I counted the other day, I ran in about 16 different counties here in Florida. So a lot of every county, you know, whatever is available, because obviously certain areas have more leads at certain times, right? So you're always constantly checking what's available. That's something that I'm trying to, you know, I try to stay on top of. And I wish I had some BPL mortgage, but all that's locked out here. I do, you know, the thing is, even with the drops that you do in Florida, you're paying like $150 a mortgage lead. Yeah. Like even like, it's not like you want to drop like $5,000 and get like 20 back. Like, no, you don't want to do that, you know? So whatever's available. I mean, right now I'm probably driving 2.5. I've probably driven 3 hours before, but a 3-hour radius from Tampa, it literally goes, you know, it's I'm on the East Coast by that time. So
right.
Orlando area near Jacksonville, all across Florida. And then as far as leads go, just whatever I can get my hands on, you know, because leads are limited. But with all the vendors, such as I mentioned earlier, with all the vendors that Family First Life offers, like it's impossible not get enough leads to get your 30 appointments. I promise you. Like Eric Schmidt posted something, I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He the detailed list of all the different vendors that Family First Life offers. It's like some of them I didn't even know. I was like, wow, if even with the couple vendors that I use, you know, I seem to get my 30 appointments. And if I ever need to expand out, you know, they're constantly introducing new vendors, you know, so it's pretty easy to get my leads, to get my appointments.
I love that. Is there a ritual that you do in the morning before you walk into a home or when you wake up in the morning that gets your mind right, you know, for the rest of the day?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I still catch butterflies walking up to the door. And I know I've written a good of whatever I've written, but man, I still get so nervous. I don't know why it is. But once I'm in the home, I'm good. You know, it's just like, is this going to be like a 45-year-old super cocky guy with a $300,000 loan? Like stuff like that, man. I hate that. But in the morning, I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, I try to work out occasionally. I tried to start getting up at 4 a.m, man. That's rough. That's not easy. I was like, man, I'm gonna day butchered this for a week. Like 4 days in, I was like, man, I felt exhausted. I was like, there's no way I could do that. So I'm typically like a 5 or 6 o'clock guy, you know. But in the morning, not necessarily. I mean, I do try to not listen to my whole, like when I started, I probably burned through my whole Apple Music, all of my playlists. I probably listened to all them songs like 100 times. So that, like, I had to start watching training. Even to this day, I watch training and pick up gold nuggets out of all the different training that FFL has to offer. Maybe some advanced market stuff, which, I mean, I've never written an annuity, but that's something, you know, I would love to look into as well. But yeah, as far as a morning ritual, not necessarily. I do, you know, I guess just, I don't know. No, not really. I wish there was. I don't have any. Yesterday I worked out, so occasionally I'll do that. But
He said
sometimes,
yesterday.
like if I, so the thing is like 2 hours. Like I typically work about 2 hours away. So this is kind of the schedule. If let's just say, for example, Tuesday evening, my last appointment's at 8 o'clock. That lasts for about an hour. So it's at 9. I get home at about 11, between 11 and 12. If you go to sleep, so if you get home between 11 and 12, you're probably asleep by like 12, 12:30. Then you got to get back up at like 5 something to leave the house by 6 to get to your first appointment by 8. So it's only getting like 5 hours of sleep. So to only get like 3 or 4 hours of sleep to go work out, man, it's just like, man, it's just like I tried it for a while, and it was like I wasn't mentally like my body, my brain couldn't even function properly, because sleep is very, very important. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not the guy who gets 3 to 4 hours of sleep, like at least like 6, I guess 6 to 8, and then I can function properly. But as far as the morning ritual, no. And I know that was a long answer, but yeah, that's kind of
8, but it's a real answer, right? And it's proof that, everybody has their own way of doing it, right? So, next question is, how many times do you call your leads?
Yeah, man. A lot. I do call them a lot. This was crazy. Something happened to me the other day. I called this guy. I think I was at like 12, 13 phone calls. I called this guy exactly, over time, I called him exactly 36 times. I called him 36 times. I called him, and I finally got a hold of this guy. Well, no. I sent him a picture of the lead, and I texted it to him, and he texted me back. I booked the appointment over the phone via text. We booked the appointment for the next day. I went out there and sold him a policy for $364 a month. So if I wouldn't have been persistent with this guy, imagine if I would have stopped at the 27th phone call,
right,
and I would have said, done, I'm throwing this lead away. Like, this dude is not going to pick up. If I would have stopped doing that, I would have never discovered that, So typically I just call. I think I called this one person like 50 something times, but typically it don't take that much. About the 20th phone call, they're like, who the heck is this? Because now I'm shooting them text messages, voicemailing. But throughout the day, I would say probably 6 to 9 times I call them, and then I would just put them back in the stack to go back the next dial day and call them again, because I've had people, the other day I called this woman 12 times, and then on the 13th time the same day she answered, and I booked the appointment. So definitely not running through all your leads 3 times and it's like, I'm done. I got 8 appointments, can't go through them again. No, I try to dial them as much as I can, because these people genuinely need the help, and if you're persistent with them, they really, really appreciate that at the end. They really do.
I remember I was sitting in Andrew's office one time when we were in California, when he was like still in the field, and I watched him call a guy 10 times in a row, like straight, not like 3, like 10 times straight, right? And I was like, what is he doing? And then when the guy answered the phone, he goes, dude, why'd you call me 10 times in a row? And Andrew said, it's our company policy to call the people that request information at least 10 times in a month. I figured I just got it all out at once and called you 10 times in a row. And the guy started laughing, and Andrew set the appointment, dude. And I was like, you know what I realized, Mike, is sometimes we just got to have fun.
Yeah.
We got to have fun doing this. You know what I mean? And like Andrew, when he used to book appointments, he'd be like, hey, I'm a tall guy. I'm like 6'2". I look like Brad Pitt. I'll be at your house. And I was just like, dude, you look nothing like Brad Pitt, But he was like, it's the only way he booked appointments, because he had to have fun with it. And so for those of you that are struggling on the phone, like, have some fun with it, right? If the client's pissed off, they're probably not pissed off at you. They have other things that they're pissed off at. They're just placing it on you. It's called displacement anger. It's like parents. Parents get pissed off at their job and they take it out on their kids, right? They're not pissed off at you. They don't know you, but they had a bad day. Something happened to their family or whatever it is. You just happen to call on the wrong day when they decided to lay it all out on you. So, just remember that in the back of your mind. One of the questions was, what was the turning point on the phones that really turned up your appointment count?
Yeah, man, 1,000,000% not leaving at lunch and leaving at 8 o'clock at night. Like you can
Love it.
ask all the guys in our office here in Tampa. I haven't done a whole lot of traveling, but I'm like Matt Walker. I'm sure you guys know these
Yep.
guys, Matt Walker, John Luzzy, all these guys. They're here in the Tampa office. And yeah, man, I would dial from set like 8 in the morning to like 8, 9 at night because I promise you don't have to be good on the phone. If you put that type of activity on the phone, you're going to book a minimum of 12 appointments. It doesn't matter what leads you're calling, doesn't matter. If you're putting that type of activity in on the phone, you at least get 12, 15 appointments. So once I started doing that I was going to book a whole lot more appointments, I started doing that because, I mean, like you got guys like, I don't know, I saw a podcast, Easton Patton, done by like 10 a.m. I was like, dude, what? I was like, dude,
Right.
I was like, dude, that's not normal. Like that's abnormal. That's not even normal. So, but that he's really, 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 really good on the phone. I'm not. So
Dude, you know what's funny? They came to the office at the Vegas office once and dialed. I watched him and Brittany Jarrett literally set like 11 appointments in an hour. And I was like, this is normal for them. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, you're good. That's how they run the 35, 40 appointments because they literally set almost everybody and they know that naturally, right? 25, 30% of them are going to fall off and they just overly set all the appointments. And I'm like, that's why you write. What is Easton? Easton's like number 3, number 4 in the company right now. It's like, dude, that's the reason why you write the premium you write, because you're a beast, dude. But
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. I mean, it was just that's the thing. It's just putting in the time on the phone. That's all it really was. Time. Yeah. I mean, on dial day, man, I didn't need to go stinking. I didn't like. I'm a single dude, and I don't have like my family. All my family besides my brother lives in Oklahoma. So I don't have a lot of distractions, which is good. I mean, I do live in Tampa. There's a good bit of distractions, but I mean, there's distractions everywhere, It's just what you choose to be disciplined with what. So even my dad and like John, they're like, dude, Mike, there's 2 options here. You could be like the rest of the kids your age and you could go out every weekend. You could stink and blow all your money, be broke on Monday, or you could sacrifice 60 to 80 hours a week of work for the next 3 years. And you're going to look back and you're going to see where they're at and you're going to see where you're at and you're going to be appreciative for what you did. So
100%.
That's what I'm trying to just stay focused with, not try to have a whole lot of distractions just because, but I, like you said, have fun. Like I legitimately like running in the field. Like I love this. Like I don't, not like if, overrides, which I know a lot of that is to come, like integrity, all the different things that are, with FFL, if none of that even existed, like I would still be running in the field. Like you cannot tell me where you can go and make this type of money, like 45-minute appointment, 2,500 in your account in 2 days. Like there's nowhere you can go without a college degree. And I know a lot of people, scream this from the rooftops, but it's true. If none of the additional stuff was in FFL, I would still love this job because, sitting with clients is really fun. I mean, of course you have, your bad days and stuff, but, I do enjoy it,
Mike, before we head into the last question, I'm going to give you some stuff from, when I was your age and working with, high school basketball kids and stuff like that. One of the things I tell people all the time is you got to be able to give up and grow up in order to go up. And what you just talked about, kids your age being able, like you said, to go out on the weekend and have fun and do this and the other. And like you look back and you go, man, I'm not having that. And sometimes you second guess the very thing you're doing. I don't think you are because of, what you're doing. When I was your age, I was, right? And you get to a point where, the compounded decisions that you make of today I'm going to eat a salad versus a burger, right? And right away, you don't see that you're going to be healthy today. But 3 months from now, half a year from now, a year from now, the consistent decisions that you make, Mike, with the discipline, as you call it, what's going to happen is when those guys get out of college, you'll be a multimillionaire. And by the time you want to go out and have fun and do all that stuff, they're going to be at work. When you want to be able to start a family and be able to be with your kids and spend time with your spouse, they're not going to be able to do that. So like all the sacrifice, all the stuff that you're giving up now and growing up, because like I said, you're 19, but you're not 19, not in my opinion, right? You're going to go up. And like Luzzy and Walker have told you, 3 years at this, dude, 2 to 3 years at this, at the rate you're running right now, you will not recognize your life by the time you're 21, 22. And I'm excited for you. And, I'm pretty sure all of us are excited to watch your progression because, dude, you're a stud, man. You're a stud.
Man, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It seems unreal. I never thought, I'd go from delivering food, but that just goes to tell you, anybody can truly do this. I hope somebody's inspired, like if I've just saw since I've started so many different people quit. And I was like, dude, like I started with this girl, her name was Mary. She was the nicest girl you'd ever meet. She was so excited to get started. And then like a month and a half in, she quit. And then like 7 months later, I was like, we were together dialing for our first dial day. And now I'm making 30 grand a month. And she was just like, she was like, dude, what? So the number one thing is just, to not ever give up, because I feel like so many, man, what I'm motivated by is by my plan B, man. That's it. Like that was always worse. My plan B, like, dude, my secondary option was 100% of like, when I got to Florida, I had a job for about a month, and it was with it was a sewer company, and we were getting on top of roofs, like unstopping sewer drains, man. It was this nest, dude. I was sweating, and I was like, man, I definitely don't want to go back to that, making $300 a week. But man, I thank you so much again. I'm trying to stay disciplined, stay focused, maybe hit the gym 6 days a week instead of 1 day a week.
Oh man, that's funny. Hey, last question. This is an easy one. We'll wrap it up with this. What's your text strip when you text somebody to book an appointment?
Yeah, I'm just like, the text. So when I go to book him, I'm just like, I'll send him a lead and then kind of let him respond to it. Cause sometimes, like, I've had this one guy, he's like, dude, F off. And then I sent him the lead and he apologized. He's like, I didn't know that's what this was about. So yeah, and then from there I was like, look, so I'm the local field under. Typically I don't try. As soon as they text me, I call them, and they'll nearly every time answer. But
right.
If I do have to text them, I'm just like, hey, I'm the local field underwriter assigned. I live locally. My job is to get this information out and go over the options. So, and then from there, they're like, perfect. And then I just ask them, do they work or do they don't work? And then pick a time, a good time to go. But typically if they text me, I try to call them on spot. Like, hey, if I see the text message, I'll just call them and they'll pick up their phone and I'll just book the appointment,
I love it, man. Hey, Michael, thank you for hopping on and sharing this with us, dude. You're wise beyond your years, dude. And I'm excited to see what your future holds. I know not only are you going to blow past 500-600, but next year, dude, we'll be rooting you on to, become one of the top producers and top agency managers here. So, Michael, thank you again, man, for hopping on. If there's anything we can do to return the favor, please let us know. All right.
Yes. Thank you so much. This was awesome. It was an honor being on here.
All right, guys. Hey, let's have a great one. And let's go close out quarter 4. Fourth quarter is around us, guys. Let's go close out the year strong. Have a great week.